Hello, hello, hello. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this festive themed Instagram live takeover, especially from the Young Artists programme. My name's Geraint Ross Evans. I'm a Royal Drawing School Young Artist tutor. I've been doing it for about 5 years. I'm an alumnus of the postgraduate programme, which is called the Drawing Year, and I also teach on the foundation year as well. So welcome everyone who's joining us. Today I'm coming to you live from my home in Grangetown in Cardiff. So Croeso I Gymru a Nadolig Llawen. Welcome to Wales and Merry Christmas. This evening I am going to be talking about drawing a journey for about half an hour. I'm going to show you how to make a concertina sketchbook. I'm going to demonstrate a few ways in which you can use this layout, and then I'm going to be using my interior, my living room, together with some festive objects in there to create my own drawn journey and sort of show you how that materialises. So you've got some options. You can either draw along at home, or you can sit back and relax and just enjoy me giving it a go. Hopefully it'll provide you with the skills and inspiration to give it a go yourself over Christmas. What you'll need if you are joining in is, and I do recommend making the concertina sketchbooks, it's super easy to make, but you need 3 sheets of A3 paper, okay? You'll need a glue stick, and that's pretty much it. You might want a scissors. Personally, I'm not going to use the scissors, I'm not that neat, I'm just going to tear with my hands, so you could do the same as well. You also, if you're going to draw, you need to be mobile, so because we're drawing a journey, we're going to make drawings and then move around and do another drawing, so there's going to be a few multi-viewpoints. So you want to be mobile, so I've got this drawing board here, I've got a bulldog clip to attach my concertina to it, and I've got some dry drawing materials as well. I've got my trusty charcoal pencils here, I've got a rubber, because nobody's perfect, and, well, no, that's it. If you haven't got access to that, you know, you could grab some masking tape and you could just tape it to a book or maybe the back of your sketchbook or something. So while you get those materials together, and before I get started, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's happening on the Young Artist programme at the moment. So this year, we have for the first time brought some of our online course, brought some of our Young Artist courses online, and this is for the first time, and of course it's due to COVID-19. This has to do with the fact that many of our usual venues, our galleries and museums, that we don't have the same access to now. But we are still pleased to be able to offer some studio-based and some outdoor courses across London, Norwich and New Cumnock in Scotland. If you didn't know, bookings are now open for spring term courses, so if you'd like to find out a little bit more about those, or you'd like to book a place for your young artist, then just head to the website, which is royaldrawing.org. Last week, you might have seen me again on Instagram Live on the Royal Drawing School Instagram page. I introduced something called the Young Artist Toolkit, and this is an online platform that has 50 hours of drawing exercises, which are contained within 25 toolkit activities. These are basically made up of online video demonstrations from tutors, together with a downloadable resource pack, and that's got loads of sort of artistic references, clear objectives and technical terms. So you basically got 25 workshops to play with in your own time. The subscription gives you access to the online platform for an entire year, and it only costs £90. So if you want more information on that, you could always watch last week's Instagram, or you could head to the website royaldrawing.org. While I'm doing this, if you guys have any questions for me, please send them my way. The best thing to do is to put them in that little speech bubble down there, rather than put them in the sort of comments, because I think they get lost in the digital stream, and you're about to witness how I struggle with multitasking as I try and draw and talk to you guys at the same time. So if you have any questions, pop them in there. I'll make sure at the end I give 5-10 minutes to go through all those questions and get those answers for you where I can. So, I'm going to be showing you how to make a concertina sketchbook. I'm going to be talking about why I like to use them personally in my own practice. I'm going to give you a few different ways in which you can use them, and you're going to see me do some drawing, and I'll show you some examples as well. So, you might be asking yourself, what's a concertina sketchbook? Well, a normal sketchbook is like a book. You open it, it's got a hinge on one side, it's sequential, but you can only see one page at a time. A concertina sketchbook does that too. You can see one page at a time, like this, or well, 2 pages at a time if you draw on the back of your usual sketchbook. But what's great about it is it actually opens up like this, because the pages are hinged together. So what you essentially have is this kind of accordion thing going on here. I'm getting some comments about the question mark bubble, so if you do have any questions, is the speech bubble with a question mark inside it. That's what you want to click on, and that's what you put your question into. But back to the accordion or the concertina sketchbook. Okay, why is this useful, do you think? Well, why I think it's quite exciting is your fragmented experiences, your single view drawings can be seen one by one, or they can be completely connected. They become distilled and part of a single experience. They almost become one artwork. And this gets stretched out over this pictorial space, and with it you contain quite a lot of different experiences and contain a lot of time. What I find most fascinating about them is how surprising these connections can be. So, you've got a viewpoint here and a viewpoint here. They're from completely different places, but somehow your eye knits the spaces together, and you almost travel through the entire sketchbook, starting from one end and ending at the other. But I won't say too much more at the moment, because I've got some examples for you. We should get making one. They're super easy to make, and I'm just going to move the camera so you've got a better view. Okay, how's that? Okay, so I've got my A3 sheets of paper. I've got 3 of them. Well, I've got 4 because I'm bound to mess one up. But this is what you start with, just one of these. And the first thing you need to do is fold the page in half twice. Okay, so I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to open it back up, and then I'm going to fold it across the other side like that. And what you're left with is this page with a cross in the centre. Okay? So now you've got a decision to make. Do you want your concertina sketchbook to be portrait, each page to be portrait, or do you want it to be landscape, like this? Okay? I am going to make this one landscape. So that means I'm going to tear across the long line if I want the page's landscape. If you want a portrait page, sketchbook, then tear across the short line here. Now you can use the scissors if it's easier, but I'm just going to tear. So I'm going to make sure the fold is nice and good. And then, super easy, I'm going to put it like this, so there's a bit of a bend. You've got like a little roof thing going on here. And make a small tear at the top. And then it should come away really simply like that. And what you're left with is 2 little landscape Christmas cards here. Okay, so I'm going to do that for the other pages. I'm folding in half twice, opening back up. I'm going to tear along the big line because I'm making a landscape one. I make a small tear, a little roof, and then tear down that long line. 2 more Christmas cards for the pile. Okay, last one. Making that little cross. Tearing down the long line. So I should have 6 of these. You are only going to need 5. So I'm going to put one of these aside, send it to somebody, send it to a minimalist for Christmas. And now I'm going to stick these together. So I've got my first one, and I've got this one like a open book, okay? When I get my second one, I'm going to put that down like a face down book, and basically I'm going to stick these over each other. So 4 of these pages are going to make 3. I'll hold it like that just to show you properly. Okay, so you can see that this one's going to get stuck over the top like that. So I've got my Pritt stick. I'm going to go around the outside and a little cross in the middle. And I can stick this page over the top. And what you're left with already is the beginning of a sketchbook. You've got a little S here to start with. And then I just got to keep going. So this one's kind of like a downwards facing book. I'm going to do this one with a sort of upwards facing book. Again, around the outside and an X in the middle. And stick that on like this. Okay, and you can see it coming together now. Got an M. Getting pretty long. Almost there, so I've got 5 pages so far. This is the last one, and this is a sort of downwards facing book, so I'm going to do this one as a kind of upwards one. Going around the outside and an X in the middle like that. And have I done that right? Yes. Okay, there's my concertina sketchbook, as you can see. All right, got all the pages in it, and this should have 6 pages. I mean, you could have added 7th, but I don't know why I do 6, but I have. So there you go. And let me show you this ready-made one. Okay, this is a concertina sketchbook I made in the summer. It's got 6 pages, and I basically did this as a journey from my house to the train station around the corner. So this is the view of me looking out of the door, and then if I open it up here, you can see this is me sort of turning right down my street. As I walk to the end of this street here, when I get there, then I turn again right and cross the road, and then I've got this new view. And then for the next one, I sort of crossed here and turned right there. And then if I open up this one, you can see that for this drawing, I drew across the hinge of the page. So we've got a nice one here where it crosses over and you get this expanded view. And then lastly, the last page is me just arriving here, which is the train station. And here you go. So essentially, you know, this one is really drawing a journey. I'm drawing from my house, I'm doing each individual stage, and I could give this to somebody who was staying at my house if I had to pop out, who needed to get to the train station, and they should technically be able to get there using this concertina sketchbook. But that's not the only way you can use it, so I'm going to show you some more examples. Unhook you here and take you to the wall. So here's another, I'm going to go quite far back just to show you actually. Here's another one on the wall. And you might recognise this as the drawing that was in the photograph that advertised this class. So that was me drawing at the Christmas market in Cardiff City Centre. It's a little bit blurry, but I think you can get the gist of it there. As I started off, that's better. I started off drawing at a food stand, and then I moved places again and just went to a different one. This is by here. But I found afterwards that, you know, these spaces do kind of connect almost by accident. And I thought about it afterwards, and what this has to do with, I think, is the eye line is quite similar in both drawings. So the persons or the people in it, they are a similar height from the bottom of the page. Their heads are a similar height from the bottom of the page, and so far there's sort of a continuity between the two, which is quite handy. So although these two spaces are not connected at all, they appear connected on the page. Our eyes knit them together. So then I'm off now, away from the Christmas market into town, and then I get to this little kind of carnival bit where there's, I don't know if you can see there, but there's people chucking basketballs into hoops to try and win these massive cuddly bears. And here I drew across the hinge, so I connected the spaces a little more forcibly, which is something you could do as well. And then lastly, on the end here, you can see some guys won a bear. And I think what's nice about that is that this idea of repetition. So if you repeat something in the drawing through the frames, then you almost accidentally get a bit of a narrative. You know, it's your journey. It's likely that things are going to repeat, and you can look out for these connections as you make the drawings. Okay, I'll show you one more. So here is another one, and this is done inside my house, and you can see this time I worked vertically instead of horizontally. So there's many ways you can do this. You know, you can use the front to the back, you can go left from right, you can go right to left, you could go up and down. You could even start in the middle and work outwards. I tend to begin at the beginning and start from one side. And as you can see here, I started down here by drawing my little cat under the table. And instead of moving, like physically moving position, instead I just arced my head this time. So I stayed in position and then I just looked up. So the next frame is the pot of the Christmas tree that sits on top of a table in our house. And then I kept going up and got something of the Christmas tree. And then I kept going up again. And you can see that although I stayed pretty much rooted, I allowed my interests to change how far I was away from the subject. So I kind of have zoomed in on some things I'm interested in and let other things be at a distance. There's my partner in the corner on her phone. And then I get to the top of the Christmas tree, and I really wanted that perspective of looking up at what is essentially an R&I penguin at the top of the tree. And I think what's interesting, again, in terms of the format, is these elongated formats, they push us into new spaces, they help us see things differently. And in this case, you know, I don't know if I ever would have contained the floor and the ceiling in the same drawing, in the same view, if I wasn't pushed by this sort of vertical movement that obviously has been helped by the tree. Okay, so I think the next thing we'll do is go into my grotto of a front room and have a look at what we can draw there. So, a little checklist for you. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. I've got my drawing board with my bulldog clip. I've got a concertina sketchbook I started. So this has got plenty of pages to keep going in. As you'll see in a minute, we're going to go through into my living room. I saw my cat earlier, it was nice and quiet. I drew him. And then I'm going to keep going on this concertina sketchbook. So, I've got something to work from. I've got my dry drawing materials as well, my charcoal and my rubber. And let's go for it. Okay, so this is the festive view for you. Ta-da! Christmas tree, and check it out. Got the fire on, and the cat's asleep as well, which is great. Lots of subject. Okay, so I'm going to set up in front of this Christmas tree, I think, first. Okay. So I'll just take a second to get it set up. Make sure I'm on the right page. So as I said before, you can make connections through the pages, but I think for the sake of this, I might just fold these back out the way and go a bit more blind. And just go in and do some drawing. So I think I'm going to draw the Christmas tree. I never thought I'd be interested in drawing a Christmas tree until I started doing that concertina sketchbook. But actually it's really fun to sort of have a good look at these different ornaments. So I'm going to start with this rocking horse. Now look, I've got a little helper here who's already started to interrupt. Little Leonard. Oh, he's trouble, I can tell you. Okay, drawing. So I actually really love using charcoal pencils because you get the precision point of a pencil, but you also get these really dark charcoal darkness, these charcoal blacks, and you know, I couldn't really get this precision, I don't think, with a piece of charcoal. So they're really handy. I don't know if you noticed as well, but mine are quite short. I even cut the tops off these sometimes, just to make them more versatile, because you don't want to be holding them like a pencil. You're drawing a completely different way. You want a big variety of marks, and having a small pencil is quite useful for that. And a slightly longer one there. I think Bonnard was only used really stubby little pencils that he apparently had loads in his pocket wherever he went, and that's because, you know, he has a huge variety of marks, and you can see why, for being able to sort of move around the material, if that makes sense. This is what happens when I try and talk and draw at the same time. And I keep them quite sharp because you can make different types of marks, and I can use it on its side as well as using the point of it. I definitely want a different mark for the pine needles that I'm using for the tree, for the ornaments even. So these are so good, these concertina sketchbooks, for really trying to push yourself outside of a single view. As you can see already, I know I haven't been drawing too long, but I'm just getting really captivated by whatever's in front of me. But they're really handy to think differently and try and make connections throughout the whole sketchbook. So already I'm trying to think ahead, you know, what could sit well with this? What could be the next thing? Really not sure about this, it doesn't look right at all. Okay, let's get some of the branches. One thing I didn't mention earlier, actually, that's really important with the concertina sketchbook, is that you actually try and make it to the edges, at least two sides, let's say. And the reason for that is because you're trying to create spaces that sort of interlink between each other. And if you end up with lots of floating objects, as I might have if I hadn't stretched this branch out, they don't seem to connect in the right way. The other thing about a concertina, a lot of the time when I go to draw something, I'm thinking about trying to capture a sense of place. So really trying to distill what it is that's unique about the setting that I'm drawing in. So in a sketchbook I tend to make lots of drawings. With a concertina sketchbook I can see them all at once, and I can actually think about, what do I need to get next to fill this sketchbook that defines this place that I'm in. So I've got to get a Christmas tree on a festive drawing workshop. So enjoyable drawing these pine needles. I've got to be careful that I don't make a 20-minute online Instagram live of me drawing pine needles, so I'm going to try and speed up a little bit. I have to make some bigger marks, I think. So when I'm trying to capture that sense of place, it's often because I need it to feed into some work I'm doing in the studio. So the way I work is I go out and make drawings in sketchbooks. So I make all these sort of observational works, and then I bring them back into the studio and work them into something a bit more imaginative, where I develop it and push it on a little bit further. I'm basically trying to get to the bottom of why I think that place or what that place or setting, or why it's interesting, whether it relates to something I'm interested in. And a concertina sketchbook is quite useful in that it sits between an observational drawing and the imaginative space that you have in a studio, where you're trying to be a bit more about you and a bit more subjective. It's a really great way of bridging the gap, because a lot of the connections get made, and you just get more confident in terms of how you layer things together, because it's surprising what you can do outside of sort of linear perspective. Oh, I'm getting a bit raggedy here with these marks. So what I was saying about taking it back to the studio, when I get a sketchbook back to the studio, it's not very practical a lot of the time, because essentially it's all single pages. But what I actually want to see is the connections. I want to make connections. So I have this massive wall where I put up all the drawings that are related to that, so that I can make connections across them, and that feeds the work. So a concertina has me doing this while I'm out in situ drawing from observation. Makes me think about what I actually need and what the connections are. I think for the sake of time, I might have to stop there, and I want to change position so you get an idea of moving around. He says. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to move. Okay. Look at this little chappy. Can you see the cat down there? That's little Leonard. Maybe if I get that a bit lower, I can try and draw him too. As you can see, I like drawing cats. Okay, I might just move. Okay, will I get him and the fireplace in, is the question. Say never work with animals, don't they? So he's moved a second, so I'm going to leave him and I'm going to move. Oh, he's moving again. What I'll do is I'll start the fireplace up here. And then see if I can connect those two spaces. Not always advisable, this. So I'm really trying to fill the whole page this time. It's okay when you get gaps like this, but I think it's good to have like connections through the page. So this would be quite diagonal, and ideally I'd go back and get involved down there. Does anyone else use these charcoal pencils? Let me know. Is anyone else drawing along at home as well? Be great to hear from you. And if you've got any other ways of using a concertina sketchbook, please pop them in too. I'm willing to learn too. I work really fast now, so I'm using the side of the pencil much more than I was in the last drawing. Trying to fill areas, and I'm thinking tonally as well, so I'm squinting from time to time, which is helpful. Hey Leonard. Okay, there's a few logs in there. Just about. And you know, I mean, it's a lot to ask to finish one of these within a workshop frame, sort of time frame. So, you know, obviously you'll have much more time for this, and I'm really looking forward to going back into this and actually, you know, spending a bit more time on the things that I'm interested in. But I think for now, I just want to show you the versatility, how quickly you can sort of move around and how you can, you know, draw a journey basically. And sometimes, you know, it doesn't have to be a physical journey. It's almost like a journey of the eye more than anything. Where's he gone? He's gone. I'll definitely get him back later. I just have to put another log on the fire. Okay, I'm going to stop there, I think. Open this out and you can see how it's begun. So, you know, the drawings, they're not necessarily the most exciting thing on their own, but together they really work well. They really work together already. I mean, the spaces jump around all over the place and you get that feeling of movement. I'm going to switch the camera around so I can see what I'm showing you. Classic old-fashioned Blue Peter style. Here's one I did earlier. So here's me sitting on the sofa and looking at the Christmas tree there. I've got another zoomed in one of the pine needles in the tree. And then over here you can see little Leonard up to mischief again. And here is my partner relaxing on the sofa. And then lastly, a bit more time spent on the fire. Lovely to draw the fire. And then finally, our other cat, where he is now actually, chilling on the chair there. And I'm just going to put it out for you because I just want to show you this because I think this is something that's really special about a concertina sketchbook. Is this kind of thing where it's it almost becomes a bit of an ornament in itself. It's like almost like a sort of Chinese screen. You get these frames and they stand. It's somewhere you could, once you've done one of these, you can put it on a windowsill or on a table, and it just becomes a really nice way of like reliving your memories and your experience. And I think also it's a really great way of sharing your experience as well, especially of Christmas. Like I know that a lot of us won't be seeing people that we would usually, see because of the COVID crisis. So, my nan, for example, she lives in Tewkesbury. She usually comes to Cardiff. She's not going to be able to do that this year. I'm going to post this to her, and that way I share my experience of Christmas with her. So why don't you give it a go? Make a 6-panel drawing around your house. Share your Christmas experience with somebody you can't see this year. And for those of you who are super ambitious, why not make a 24-page concertina sketchbook, use it all over Christmas, and then next year you can use it as your advent calendar. What about that? Okay, well that's it from me anyway. I really hope you enjoyed this session. I really hope you found it useful. Please share with us your drawings. We'd really, really, really love to see them. So if you do anything connected to this, and you put it on Instagram, you can hashtag us as YA Toolkit, so Young Artist Toolkit, and we would absolutely love to see those drawings. Just a reminder as well that spring term courses for the Royal Drawing School are now open for booking, so please book on if you're planning on booking on, or you can find out more information on theroyaldrawing.org. I hope you have a Merry Christmas from everyone at the Royal Drawing School and the Young Artist Programme. It's an Adolic Flower from me as well. Merry Christmas. And we really hope we see you in the springtime. I'm going to hang around now and answer any questions. I've seen some have come up. But thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it.